There is a book written in 1758 that claims to reveal in stunning detail exactly what happens the moment you die. Not metaphor, not myth. A precise map of the afterlife heaven, hell, and everything in between. Its author says he saw it all. Not in a dream, but while wide awake, he walked through heaven, spoke with angels, witnessed souls transform into what they truly were inside. This book was banned, ignored, or forgotten for centuries because it didn't comfort, it exposed. Exposed the secret architecture behind your thoughts, your choices, your desires, and what those invisible forces shape you into after death. This is not just about the afterlife. It's about you, right now, because according to this book, you are already becoming who you will be, forever. Swedenborg tells us that heaven itself has a heart, not merely a place, but a life force, a breathing center, and that center, he says, is the Lord. Swedenborg writes that heaven is not simply a gathering of good souls floating in paradise. Heaven is alive. Every angel there draws life, happiness, wisdom, even their very ability to love from direct connection with this living God. The angels, Swedenborg says, know with absolute clarity that without the Lord they would cease to exist. Their beauty, their peace, their joy is not theirs by nature. It is a stream, a constant inflow of life, like a river pouring into a dry riverbed. If the flow stopped, so would they. And what of us? Swedenborg insists it is the same for humanity on earth. Every spark of goodness, every flash of understanding, every real impulse toward love or truth is not truly ours. It is given, moment to moment, from the source of life itself. We borrow life. We are vessels, not creators of it. This, Swedenborg says, is the first truth, hidden from the world, and the first great exposure his forbidden book dares to reveal. If heaven's life is the Lord, then separation from the Lord is death, not simply the death of the body, but the inner death, the withering of who we are meant to be. And here, Swedenborg uncovers a chilling reality. The moment we pass from this world to the next, the mask falls away. If during life we have opened ourselves to the inflow of life-seeking, truth, living love, choosing humility, then we become, after death, a being of heaven. But if we have closed ourselves off, if we have lived in self-love, pride, greed, and deception, then the soul, exposed and stripped of its disguises, reveals its true form. It is not that the Lord condemns us. It is that we have either aligned ourselves with life, or we have turned away from it. Heaven, according to Swedenborg, is not a reward for good behavior. Hell is not a punishment for wrongdoing. They are the natural result of what we love most. Deeply, wherever your heart clings, that is what shapes you. And after death, that shape is revealed for all to see. Swedenborg describes angels as being, in essence, mirrors of the Lord's love. They shine because they have surrendered the illusion of separate life and accepted the truth of their dependence. The proud, the self-centered, they resist this. They cling to the fantasy that they are their own source of life and power. But that delusion cannot survive in the world beyond. There, Swedenborg says, truth reigns, not abstract truth, but the living reality of being undeniable, inescapable, and so the proud spirit, unable to receive life, finds itself emptied, darkened, and drawn toward others who share the same interior emptiness. Hell, then, is not a place the Lord creates. It is a community of souls who have chosen again and again to cut themselves off from the only life there is. Swedenborg writes, that the Lord's love is present even in hell. It sustains even the most fallen being, because without that thread of life, they would vanish altogether. Yet the souls in hell perceive the Lord's love not as warmth, but as torment. The same sunlight that nourishes a flower burns a stone. The same presence that fills heaven with rapture fills the closed heart with agony. This is the raw, unvarnished reality Swedenborg's forbidden book dares to reveal. And he warns us, the transformation does not happen after death. It is happening now. Every thought, every desire, every choice is already shaping the soul, already bending it toward its eternal form. You are not waiting to become something, you are becoming it now. As Swedenborg walked through the heavens, as he spoke with angels, he saw this truth reflected everywhere. The highest angels, he says, were not those who had lived the most perfect external lives. They were those who had learned, while still in the world, to recognize that everything good in them flowed from the Lord, not from themselves. Swedenborg describes a scene, souls who, even after death, persist in believing they are source of their own wisdom, their own goodness. They are given, briefly, the freedom to live according to that belief, and their condition rapidly deteriorates, their faculties dim, their joys decay, their relationships collapse into conflict and suspicion without the inflow of real life. They wither, and eventually they choose the communities of hell not because they are dragged there, but because, by their own resonance, they belong there. Swedenborg reminds us that a thunderous beginning to a book that does not pander, does not soften, and does not flatter. It reminds us calmly, firmly, that every moment of life is sacred. Every moment is forming who we are. Heaven is not built with grand gestures, it is built with the secret movements of the heart. And hell is not a sentence pronounced from above. It is the harvest of seeds we plant every day. This is why the book was banned. This is why it was buried, because it tells us, without excuse, that your eternal destiny is not decided by external rites, nor by declarations, nor by allegiance to creeds. It is decided in the hidden places of the soul, in what you love, in what you choose, in how you respond to the invitation to open to life or to close against it. Now, Swedenborg speaks of what truly makes heaven, heaven, not its appearance, not its joys or marvels, but something deeper, something without which heaven itself could not even exist. The divine of the Lord. Swedenborg begins with a truth that stirs the heart into stillness. Heaven does not stand by, itself a self-sufficient paradise. It is not built from the hopes of the dead, nor fashioned from their dreams. It lives because the divine life of the Lord fills it. Without this divine inflow, heaven would be nothing but an empty name. He writes that heaven is not just influenced by the divine, it is the divine, received, reflected in countless individual forms. Every soul, there is a living mirror, a unique window, through which the Lord's love and wisdom shine forth. The angels, in all their beauty and radiance, are not glorified humans in their own right. They are vessels clear, humble, open to the endless river of life pouring through them. Swedenborg tells us that heaven's countless joys, its harmonies, its unimaginable peace, these do not arise from the angels themselves. They are gifts, unearned, flowing endlessly from the Lord into each willing heart. This understanding reshapes everything. Heaven is not something added to a person after death, like a crown placed on the head. It is something that grows within, depending entirely on how the soul has made itself receptive to the divine. In the living world, many imagine heaven as a reward, earned through deeds or belief. But Swedenborg saw something different. Heaven is not a prize, but a state of inward harmony with the divine. The more a soul loves what is good, not out of fear or ambition, but because goodness is life itself, the more that soul opens itself to the inflowing breath of heaven. This, Swedenborg says, is why no one is forced into heaven. No one is pushed against their will toward bliss. They have not prepared their hearts to receive. The Lord desires that all should be part of heaven, but the freedom of every soul is sacred. Each one must choose to align themselves with the divine, not through pressure, but through love. Swedenborg then describes a striking truth. Heaven is the Lord's presence as received by those who love him. And because the divine can be received only according to each person's capacity, heaven is infinitely varied. Each angel receives the Lord differently. Each soul shines with a light distinct from the others, like stars scattered across an endless sky. Their joys differ, their wisdom differs, yet all are united by a common root, the inflowing divine life. Thus, heaven is not uniform. It is a vast, living tapestry woven from the free responses of countless souls to the same eternal love. Swedenborg insists that without the Lord, there would be no heaven at all. Heaven does not sustain itself. The moment the divine presence were withdrawn, even for an instant, heaven would dissolve into nothingness. He speaks with the conviction of one who has seen it. The life that animates every breath of heaven is not the angel's own. It belongs to the Lord, and only to him. And the angels, far from resenting this dependence, find their greatest happiness in it. They do not seek to shine with their own light. They rejoice in being vessels through which the true light shines. In this perfect humility, they find perfect joy. Swedenborg uses a simple, powerful image. Divine life enters the angels much like heat and light from the sun enter living things on earth. But just as plants must open themselves to the sunlight, so must souls open themselves to the inflow of the divine. Without that openness, the light cannot be received. The warmth cannot bring life. Thus, it is not the Lord who withholds heaven. It is souls who turn themselves away, shutting the door from within. In the earthly world, we imagine life as something we own, our thoughts, our emotions, our powers, as things self-generated, self-sustained. But Swedenborg overturns this idea. He teaches that life itself is not ours. It is a continual gift, a river flowing from the divine, entering each soul according to how open they are to receive it. Our consciousness, our vitality, even our capacity to think and love, all are borrowed from the inexhaustible source. We are free to turn the flow into paths of love and wisdom, or to twist it into selfishness and falsehood. But the flow itself, the life, is the Lord's. In this light, heaven becomes less a place we go, and more a state we awaken to. As Swedenborg walked among the angels, he saw that their glory was not of their own making. It was the Lord's beauty, reflected through their openness. Each face, each voice, each community in heaven sang a different note of the same eternal harmony. Their individuality was not erased. It was fulfilled, completed by the divine life flowing through them. And so Swedenborg invites us to consider, even now, in this world, we are preparing ourselves. Every small act of kindness, every moment of true understanding, every honest, humble choice is an opening, a widening of the soul's gates to the living river of heaven. And every act of selfishness, every indulgence in pride or deceit, narrows those gates, shutting out the very life we most deeply seek. Thus, heaven is not an accident of geography. It is the natural home of those who have prepared themselves to breathe the divine air. And hell, Swedenborg hints, is simply the condition of those who have chosen to shut themselves away from it. In the end, we will not be judged by a tribunal of stern faces. We will find ourselves drawn by the very structure of our souls to the place that matches what we have become. Swedenborg's vision strips away the fantasies and fears that often cloud our thoughts of life after death. He offers instead a picture that is breathtaking in its simplicity and sobering in its depth. Heaven is not a bribe, nor is it a favor granted to a lucky few. It is the Lord's own life, offered freely to all, and received according to the willingness and openness of each soul. Heaven is not beyond the stars, it is within your reach. It has always been, and the divine life that makes heaven heaven is waiting even now for you. But, Swedenborg tells us, in quiet certainty, that heaven is no accident. It is the natural home of those whose very lives have become expressions of a deeper love, not love in the vague, poetic sense, but love shaped by two living fires, love toward the divine, and charity toward one's neighbor. He writes that the divine of the Lord, the eternal presence that fills heaven, is made visible and alive within two simple things. First, in love to the Lord, a love that is more than belief, more than awe. It is the yearning of the soul to be in harmony with what is good and true itself. Second, in charity toward the neighbor, the daily practice of love, compassion, and selfless giving to others. Swedenborg saw that the angels in heaven do not love the Lord in abstraction. Their love for the divine breathes in how they care for one another. It radiates through how they live. Thus, in heaven, love and charity are not separate ideas. They are two streams of the same river, flowing side by side and feeding one another. Heaven, Swedenborg says, is not simply a place of reward. It is the inevitable blossoming of a soul, shaped by these two forces. And after death, every person reveals, without masks, without excuses, what has become of their love. What you truly love becomes who you truly are. At death, the outward things fall away. The pretenses, the ambitions, the borrowed beliefs, all dissolve like mist at sunrise. What remains is the core, the actual tendencies of the heart. Those who have lived from love to the Lord and charity to the neighbor find themselves at home. In heaven, not by command, but by natural affinity. They are drawn to heaven as a seed is astis, drawn to the sunlight, as a bird is drawn to the open sky. Their love resonates with the divine life that permeates all of heaven, like a note perfectly struck upon a great instrument. Swedenborg saw, with piercing clarity, that heaven is a kingdom of affections, not of forced obedience, not of empty declarations, but of living, breathing love. And he tells us something even more profound. Charity toward the neighbor, he says, is not merely giving to the poor or performing outward acts of kindness. True charity is loving what is good in others. It is rejoicing in another's happiness as if it were your own. It is seeing, beneath appearances, the sacredness of each soul. Heaven is filled with such charity. Every community, every society of angels thrives because each member desires the good of the other before their own. This charity is not demanded. It is natural. It flows like breath itself. And in loving one another, they love the Lord not as a distant figure, but as the source of all. life and joy moving among them. Swedenborg speaks of the astonishing harmony of heaven, where countless souls, each unique, live in perfect accord because they are bound together by love. There is no envy there, no secret resentment, no hidden superiority, because each soul recognizes that their life and their happiness come from loving and being loved in turn. Thus, heaven reflects the Lord himself, for divine love seeks not to be served, but to serve, not to take, but to give life to all. Swedenborg saw heaven as a living body with each soul like a cell within it, each performing its own vital function, not in competition but in joyful cooperation. And just as a healthy body flourishes when every part works in harmony, so does heaven flourish through mutual love and use. In this, Swedenborg reveals a hidden law of existence. The measure of your eternal happiness will be the measure of your love for what is good, outside yourself. At death, no one will ask what you claim to believe. No tribunal will examine your confessions. The state of your soul will be plain to see written in the very fibers of your being. Have you learned to love the good, not because it benefits you, but because it is good itself? Have you found joy in serving others, not because you feared punishment, but because love overflowed within you? These are the questions that life and death inevitably answer. Swedenborg did not speak from theory. He spoke as one who had seen. He described meeting souls after death who had spent their earthly lives seeking only themselves, their power, their comfort, their glory. These souls found the atmosphere of heaven unbearable. The air of mutual love suffocated them like a pure song that pierced their ears. They fled from it, seeking places where selfishness could still be breathed. Thus, heaven is not closed to anyone. But not all can dwell there. Only those who have made themselves of the stuff of heaven love to the Lord and charity toward the neighbor find themselves able to breathe its air, to rejoice in its light. Swedenborg's forbidden book does not threaten. It does not plead. It simply unveils a structure as certain as gravity, as inevitable as sunrise. You are becoming, even now, what you will be after death. With each choice to love, each choice to serve without thought of self, you shape your soul into something capable of dwelling among the angels. And with each choice to grasp, to dominate, to place self above others, you shape yourself away from heaven's life-giving breath, the divine of the Lord, the boundless love. Wisdom seeks to fill all things. It does not force itself upon anyone. It gently knocks at the Feynman door of the heart, waiting to be welcomed. And when it is welcomed, even in small, imperfect ways, it begins the quiet work of remaking the soul, of teaching it to love, first a little, then more deeply, until love becomes its very essence. This is the soul that will walk freely through heaven's gates, not because they are pushed open, but because heaven has already been born within. As you listen to these words, you may feel a stirring within, a memory almost of something half-remembered, a life not built on fear or striving, but on simple, radiant love. Swedenborg's secret was never truly forbidden. It was written in the soul of every human being, waiting to be awakened. And every act of love, every moment of charity, weaves you a little more deeply into the fabric of heaven. The life you build here in thought, in affection, in action, is the life you will live forever. Heaven waits, not as a prize for the few, but as the home of those who have already learned its language. The language of love, the language of heaven itself. But heaven is not one indistinct expanse. It is divided into two distinct kingdoms, the celestial kingdom and the spiritual kingdom. Each kingdom arises from the different ways love for the divine expresses itself. Those who are part of the celestial kingdom are moved primarily by love for the Lord himself. Their lives are built upon an inward devotion, a pure and unwavering affection toward the divine as the highest good. Their wisdom is not learned through study or analysis. It flows directly from the love they embody. It is a wisdom born from a union of will and understanding, where truth is known not by reasoning, but by a deep inward perception. In contrast, the spiritual kingdom is formed by those who love the Lord through a love of their neighbor. Their charity, their desire to serve and uplift others, is their pathway to God. Unlike the celestial, their wisdom grows through reflection, teaching, and learning. They delight in understanding truth, and their love expresses itself outwardly in acts of care, in fostering the good of the community. This division is not merely functional, it is essential. The very fabric of heaven is structured by these two streams of love. Swedenborg explains that love is the life of every being. It is what organizes, binds, and animates the spiritual world. Therefore, the difference between the two kingdoms is a difference of the heart's very essence. Meanwhile, the spiritual kingdom thrives on discernment. Those who belong to it love truth and seek to understand what is good so that they might do it more perfectly. Their wisdom grows through instruction, comparison, reflection. They live not so much in innocence as in conscious dedication. They recognize the good, choose it, and endeavor to live according to it through deliberate action. The inner experience of these two kingdoms is different as well. The celestial angels perceive divine truth inwardly, almost instinctively. It flows into their hearts and minds in one seamless motion. For them, understanding and love are united. They are in a state Swedenborg often calls the good of love. The spiritual angels, however, perceive truth externally first, then move it into their will. They receive teachings, ponder them, and choose to live by them. Thus, they dwell in the good of charity. Swedenborg notes that these differences manifest even in their speech and thought. Celestial angels rarely speak of truths, they live them. Their communication is more effective than intellectual, more about shared states of love and joy than about definitions or teachings. Spiritual angels, on the other hand, delight in discussing truths, in exchanging insights, in contemplating mysteries together. Yet both kingdoms are equally essential, and both are equally heavenly. Neither is superior. They are simply different modes through which the divine love expresses itself. Without both kingdoms, heaven would not be complete. Love demands many forms, many modes of expression. Because the infinite cannot be contained in any single kind of affection or wisdom, there is also an order to these kingdoms. The celestial kingdom is called the higher heaven, not because of pride or exaltation, but because it is closer to the source, operating more purely from love itself. The spiritual kingdom is called the lower heaven, not because it is lesser, but because it acts through a layer of reflection, choosing, deliberating, striving. This ordering reflects the structure of the human mind itself. Swedenborg reveals that our inner mind, where love for the divine dwells, mirrors the celestial heaven. Our more outward mind, where understanding and reasoning flourish, mirrors the spiritual heaven. Thus, even within a single individual, the pattern of heaven is present. The life of the celestial kingdom is likened to the warmth and light of the sun at its fullest. It is a life of inner fire, love that illuminates all things without needing explanation. The life of the spiritual kingdom is like the bright light of day that reveals every detail to the eye. It is a life of understanding, of seeing the paths clearly and choosing to walk them. Swedenborg makes it clear that these kingdoms are not mixed. They are distinct, but they are harmonized. They work together, much as the heart and lungs work together in the human body. Two distinct functions, but utterly dependent on one another. Without love, wisdom would be empty. Without wisdom, love would be blind. Together, they form a single living organism, the heaven that reflects the Lord's infinite nature. Those who are prepared for the celestial kingdom are those who have cultivated an internal innocence, the ability to lay aside selfhood and be led completely by divine love. Those prepared for the spiritual kingdom have cultivated charity, an active life of doing good from the understanding of truth. Each path requires surrender, but each surrenders in a different way. One, by yielding completely to love's guidance. The other, by laboring to know and do what love commands. And so, the division of heaven into two kingdoms is not a separation, but an expression of unity. It shows that the divine accommodates the infinite varieties of human affection and thought. It demonstrates that heaven is not rigid or uniform, but vibrant with diversity. Each kingdom shining with its own distinct glory, yet united by the one love from which both draw life. But there is not just a single heaven, there are three distinct realms of life after death, each one shaped, not by arbitrary judgment, but by the very soul of the one who enters. Swedenborg unveils that heaven is not a single boundless expanse where all the good are gathered together. Rather, it is divided harmoniously, precisely into three levels, each a mirror of the interior life one has nurtured within: the first heaven, the second heaven, and the third heaven. 3 destinations, each one drawn out of the quiet choices made in the hidden places of the heart, while still living upon the earth. The first heaven is closest to the world we know. It is where those dwell who lived outwardly good lives, whose affections were sincere, though their understanding of deeper spiritual truth was simple. They knew love, and they acted upon it, even if their comprehension of divine mysteries remained childlike. Their heaven is vibrant and bustling. It sings with communities, with joyful gatherings, with shared affections. It is in many ways the most familiar reflection of human life, but cleansed, purified, lifted into a gentler light. Here, goodness shines in action more than in understanding. Souls, here, love because they simply feel it is right, not because they have deeply pondered its source. The second heaven lies beyond. It belongs to those who, while loving their neighbor, also sought wisdom. They delved deeper into truth, letting their understanding sharpen their love. Their goodness was not merely instinctive, it was chosen, cultivated, tested. Here, wisdom flourishes. Souls delight not just in love, but in the beauty of truth itself. They know why love matters, why charity binds souls together, why goodness ripples into eternity. In the second heaven, conversations are richer, thoughts are finer, affections are subtler, stronger at once. It is a realm of understanding hearts, where every insight strengthens love, rather than replacing it. And then there is the third heaven, the highest, the innermost. This heaven is reserved for those whose very being was love. They needed no instruction, no long reasoning to lead them to what was right. Their hearts were so aligned with the divine that truth flowed into them, not as a lesson, but as a breath. In the third heaven, thought and affection are one. Souls here do not separate what they know from what they love. They do not say, "I understand this, therefore I should love it." They simply know it because they love it. Their innocence is not naivety. It is a full, radiant surrender to what is highest and most holy. Swedenborg tells us that those who reach this highest heaven see truths as living realities. They do not debate them, for there is nothing to contest. The truth is as visible and as immediate to them as the landscape bathed in morning light. Yet, even here, there is a gentle, perfect order. No one is forced upwards. No one is pulled beyond what their soul naturally craves. Each individual gravitates effortlessly to the level of heaven that matches who they truly are inside. The first heaven welcomes the simple-hearted, the second heaven embraces the understanding-hearted, and the third heaven crowns the loving-hearted. There is no jealousy between them, no sorrow for being in one rather than another. Each is fulfilled fully where they belong. Each breathes the air best suited to their spirit, and thus you become after death exactly what you have formed within yourself during life. Heaven does not alter your essence, it reveals it. The layers fall away, and what remains is what you have chosen to love most deeply, most persistently, across all your days. Swedenborg's forbidden book speaks tenderly, yet unflinchingly about this truth. Heaven, he says, is not granted like a prize, nor seized like a treasure. It grows secretly, almost invisibly, inside you while you live and breathe in this world. It takes root in the thoughts you cherish, the loves you feed, the truths you welcome or reject, and, when your earthly body falls away, you do not find yourself judged by some external tribunal. Rather, you awaken among your own kind. You recognize the light, the air, the joy that matches your innermost heart. You step naturally into the realm your soul has shaped itself to inhabit. The three heavens differ not only in degree, but in the very quality of life. In the first heaven, beauty is seen through deeds, the love of serving others, the delight in shared joy, the innocent pleasures of kindness and community. In the second heaven, beauty is seen through truth, the endless wonder of understanding, of uncovering the deep harmonies of the divine design, of seeing love made perfect through wisdom. In the third heaven, beauty is seen through pure union, the heart and mind together, inseparable, gazing upon the Lord himself with the full light of inward innocence. Swedenborg describes the third heaven as being so elevated that words cannot fully capture its nature. Speech itself, he says, becomes almost superfluous there, for understanding is immediate. Communication happens not through external language, but through the shared breathing of love and wisdom combined. In that highest realm, to see another is to know them, to feel their joy as your own, to be united without loss of individuality, each soul shining uniquely yet harmoniously within the one divine life. But no soul is pushed to enter what it cannot bear. Those who love simpler joys are not dragged into the greater intensity of the higher heavens, nor are those who crave wisdom burdened with the profound innocence of the innermost heaven. Instead, each soul finds rest exactly where its love can blossom most freely. And so, Swedenborg lays before us a vision not of a uniform afterlife, but of a living, breathing cosmos, of love in its many forms, arrayed in layers of deepening light. Each heaven is, in its own way, perfect. Each is filled with joy beyond earthly comprehension. Each reflects a different dimension of the infinite love, from which all things spring. When we understand this, When we let this vision settle into our anxious minds, a quiet reassurance grows. We realize that we are not strangers cast into an alien afterlife. We are gardeners, even now, planting the seeds of the eternity we shall one day enter. Every kind word, every honest thought, every tender act, every earnest seeking after truth, they are not forgotten. They are the architecture of our future dwelling, and every selfish impulse indulged, every cruelty unrepented, every falsehood embraced, they too shape what we shall become. But even then, the divine mercy reaches out ceaselessly, always inviting, always offering light and warmth to those who would turn, however late, toward love. The three heavens are not a tiny threat. They are a promise that every soul will find its true home, a promise that love, in its many beautiful forms, is never lost, a promise that who you truly become after death is not decided in some far-off courtroom, but shaped moment by moment, choice by choice, breath by breath, within you. When you close your eyes to this world and open them to the next, you will not find yourself alone, wandering an endless plain. You will awaken among others, countless others, each one a soul, each one a life, gathered into communities as real and as vivid as any you have known. Swedenborg reveals, in words almost forbidden to echo across the centuries, that heaven is not a place of solitary spirits adrift in boundless space. It is a living, breathing reality, woven together by countless societies, each society a family of souls bound by love, by truth, and by the quiet kinship of inner life. Heaven, he tells us, is made of communities as numerous as the stars scattered across the night sky. Each society is distinct. Each has its own harmony, its own character, its own tone, as if heaven were a vast and endless symphony, and every society a different chord resonating in perfect unity with the whole. You do not stumble into these societies by accident. You are drawn as surely and as naturally as a river flows to the sea, toward the community whose loves and beliefs match the very core of your soul. And so, who you truly become after death is who you have quietly been becoming all along, in the hidden thoughts you entertained, in the affections you nurtured when no one was looking, in the secret hopes and values you carried through life. Each soul, Swedenborg writes, gravitates to its own kind, not by compulsion, but by the gentle pull of affinity. It is a gathering by likeness, a recognition deeper than words, older than memory. Those who loved mercy and lived it find themselves among the merciful. Those who sought wisdom and served it awaken among the wise. Those who cherished innocence or courage or joy, each finds their own spiritual home. It is not the external details of life that decide your place, not your wealth, your titles, your failures, or your fame, but the invisible world you built inside yourself, day after day, choice after choice. Swedenborg speaks of these heavenly societies as vast cities of light, and within each society, souls live, work, speak, create together, not as strangers forced into uneasy union, but as friends, as brothers and sisters, as kindred, minds who complete and uplift each other. Their unity is not a chain, but a song whose notes are individual lives, each unique, yet blending into something greater than themselves. Heaven's societies mirror the order of heaven itself, and even more mysteriously, they reflect the nature of the divine. For, as Swedenborg reveals, Heaven is the body of the Lord, and every society, every soul within it plays its living part in that divine body. Some societies embody wisdom, others radiate compassion. Some shine with the quiet strength of patience, others glow with the fervour of truth and justice. Each one holds a place, each one is needed, and the greater whole could not be complete without the smallest light among them. Swedenborg describes how societies differ not only in affection, but also in form. Some societies are small, intimate, like a close-knit village where every face is known. Others are vast, sprawling, magnificent cities of souls, stretching across vistas of spiritual light that no earthly city could ever match. Yet size does not measure importance. The smaller society, where 2 or 3 spirits live in, perfect charity, can be as rich and as full of heaven as the greatest, because in heaven, what matters is not the multitude, but the purity of the bond. Swedenborg also tells us that each soul brings something unique into its society. Heaven is not sameness, it is harmony. Each soul offers its own distinct gifts, gifts that grow in beauty, precisely because they are shared. One soul may offer understanding, another may bring tenderness, another steadfastness, or joy, or humility. No one is diminished by another's greatness. In heaven, the more you give, more you receive. The more you lift another, the higher you yourself are lifted. And so each society becomes a shining tapestry, each thread indispensable, each colour deepened by those around it. Imagine, for a moment, walking through such a place, the air filled not just with light, but with meaning. Every step a meeting with kindness, every glance a connection, wordless and complete. You would recognize others without introduction. You would feel, immediately, the joy of belonging, not because you had earned it in the worldly sense, but because you had loved it into being, across the years of your life. This is the destiny Swedenborg opens before us, a destiny shaped, not by external rewards or punishments, but by the quiet crafting of your own spirit. And yet, this vision holds a deep challenge. For if you find joy in hatred, if you cling to deceit or cruelty, you will be drawn not to heaven, but to societies that mirror those loves instead. In heaven, nothing false can remain hidden. You are seen as you truly are. You live among those whose loves match yours, whether those loves are noble or base. The mercy in this is profound. No soul is ever forced into a heaven it cannot love. No soul is ever barred from light, except by its own unwillingness to receive it. Freedom is absolute, even in eternity. Swedenborg speaks, too, of how these heavenly societies interact. They are not sealed away, each isolated from the rest. They are connected, flowing into each other like rivers across a landscape, forming a living network of love and wisdom that stretches across the infinite fields of heaven. Some societies share gifts with others. Some teach, some heal, some protect. All are part of a greater community, a communion of souls, a communion of hearts, all drawn together under the one divine heart. And this vision, once glimpsed, changes how we see the life we are living now. Every relationship you form, every community you nurture, every bond of love or trust or truth you strengthen today is a faint beginning of the heavenly society you will one day join. You are already becoming who you shall be. You are already choosing your companions. You are already weaving the fabric of your eternal home. And so, Swedenborg's forbidden testimony reaches through the centuries, not to frighten, not to judge, but to awaken, to remind us that heaven is not some distant prize reserved for a chosen few. It is a living reality, already being born within you, already taking shape with every breath you draw. It grows in the quiet moments when you forgive, in the secret acts of kindness no one else sees, in the long, patient labors of love that ask for no reward. In these small, unseen choices, you are building your place among the innumerable societies of heaven. And when the day comes, when the veil of flesh falls away, you will not be lost. You will not be cast adrift. You will awaken among friends, among kindred spirits, among the very souls whose loves and dreams have matched yours all along. You will find yourself at home, truly home, among the societies of light, among the cities of joy, among the living heart of heaven itself. Now, beyond the last breath of mortal life, beyond the thinning veil of this world, you enter a reality more intricate, more alive than anything you have ever known. Here, in the unveiled lands of spirit, the secret of your being is laid bare, not as judgment nor as reckoning, but as revelation. Swedenborg, speaking from a time when such truths were scarcely whispered aloud, tells of a mystery so vast and yet so intimately personal that once glimpsed, it forever alters the way you see yourself. Heaven, he reveals, is not merely a distant kingdom scattered across celestial fields. It is a living pattern, a design so profound that it repeats itself in every part, from the largest society to the smallest soul. Each society in heaven, Swedenborg says, is itself a heaven in miniature, a world complete, a universe contained, not a broken piece, not a sliver, but a full expression of the whole. Every society reflects the order, the beauty, the life of heaven as a whole, just as a single drop, water, can reflect the entire sky, and deeper still, every angel, every soul who has opened itself fully to love and wisdom is a heaven in the smallest form. Within the spirit of one angel, the entire structure of heaven is mirrored. All its harmonies, all its living truths, all its endless mercies are present there, in miniature, vibrant, and complete. Imagine for a moment that heaven is like a great, living tree. The societies are its branches, vast and strong. Each branch carries the pattern of the whole tree within it, the same life, the same purpose. And the angels are like the smallest leaves, each one delicate, each one unique, yet each one holding the full mystery of two fells, the tree within its tender veins. This is the nature of existence after death. You do not dissolve into some formless mist. You become, more clearly and more purely than ever, a complete expression of the love and truth you have chosen to embody. And in doing so, you become part of a society that matches you, a community of spirits whose very being vibrates with the same inner music. Yet you are not swallowed up. You are not lost in the multitude. You remain fully yourself, fully alive, more distinctly individual than you ever were on earth. Swedenborg speaks of it as a divine order, an order so delicate, so intricate, that the least fragment reflects the whole. It is as if heaven were written into every soul and every society, like a secret code, a code that comes to light the moment you pass beyond the confines of this world. In these heavenly societies, no soul is isolated. No soul stands alone, cut off from others. Yet at the same time, no soul is ever diminished, ever erased by the great company of heaven. Instead, each soul, by becoming fully itself, enhances the life of all others. The more purely an angel lives according to love and wisdom, the more clearly the whole of heaven shines through them. And so the grandeur of heaven grows, not by sameness, not by absorption, but by the flourishing of individuality rooted in divine love. Swedenborg's vision brings a deep comfort, a deep stirring hope, for it means that your life matters. Your inner life, your quiet struggles, your hidden kindnesses, your secret prayers, all these are shaping you into a being who can reflect the whole glory of heaven, not in a grand boastful way, but in the gentle, humble way that a small lamp reflects the sun. Every choice you make now, every step you take toward love and truth, deepens your capacity to be that living reflection. Heaven does not wait for heroes in grand gestures. It grows in you, in the patient weaving of ordinary days, in the forgiveness offered when anger would be easier, in the courage summoned when fear crouches at the door, in the tenderness guarded when the world is cold. All of these are the silent architects of your eternal being. And one day, when you cross into that wider life, you will see the full cathedral you have been, building within yourself, a cathedral formed not of stone or gold, but of spirit, of light, of living truth. Swedenborg paints a picture of angels that is strikingly human. They are not distant, untouchable beings, robed in fire and mystery. They are people, human in form, human heart. They have faces that shine with understanding, voices that carry the music of love, eyes that see you, truly see you, with a wisdom born of eternity. And within each of them, heaven itself lives and breathes. Not a cold perfection, but a warm, living wholeness. They are what we are called to become, not something foreign to our nature, but the full flowering of it. It is the destiny that already beats quietly within you, like a seed, waiting for the sun. Swedenborg's revelation is not one of judgment, but of awakening. He whispers across the centuries, "You are more than flesh and thought. You are a living heaven in the making." And the societies of heaven are not distant realms to be sought after death. They are already being formed, already being drawn together by the loves you nurture and the truths you live today. Even now, unseen, you are gathering toward your eternal home. Even now, your spirit is weaving itself into the living fabric of heaven. And when at last you pass through the thin veil of death, you will not awaken a stranger in a strange land. You will find yourself among your own kindred, in a society that mirrors your deepest loves, in a community that reflects the heaven you have built within. And in that place you will stand, not as a mere guest, not as an intruder, but as a vital part of the whole, a small heaven in yourself, a living reflection of the divine. Think of it. Every breath you draw, every kindness you give, every truth you hold dear, each one is a stone laid in your eternal house. Each one is a thread woven into your eternal being. And as you live, as you love, as you seek truth, heaven is taking shape within you, quietly, patiently. Certainly, this is the promise Swedenborg dares to reveal, that heaven is not some prize awarded after a life of uncertainty and fear. It is the inevitable blossoming of a life lived in love. It is the full expression of who you truly are. And so, if your mind is weary, if your heart feels adrift, remember, you are not lost. You are becoming. You are unfolding. You are a heaven in miniature, waiting for the full dawn. When the moment comes, and you pass beyond this world, you will not be extinguished. You will rise. You will shine. And you will find yourself at home among the societies of heaven, your spirit resonating in perfect harmony with the love and truth that formed you. You will be, at last, who you were always meant to be. A heaven, whole and complete. A soul, infinite and free. And when your eyes finally close to this world, you awaken not into chaos, not into a scattered collection of spirits floating aimlessly in the mist, but into a design, vast, ordered, living. Swedenborg spoke of a truth hidden from the waking world, that heaven itself, in its totality, forms a single, perfect man, a living being, a grand form in which every soul has its rightful place, every society its destined role, every smallest love its essential function. You are not drifting alone through eternity. You are called into a body greater than any earthly kingdom could conceive, into the very form of divine order. Swedenborg, stepping beyond the thin boundary of mortal life, saw it with his own spirit. He described heaven not as a clouded dream, nor as an endless expanse of faceless beings, but as a single, breathing, harmonious, human, not metaphorically, truly, substantially, all the societies of heaven together, countless myriads of angels, come together to form a whole that is as real and as living as the placis body you wear now. And in that grand form, each soul holds a place as real, as specific as the beating heart or the seeing eye. Each part serves a purpose, each part lives for the good of the whole, and the cries of whole lives for the blessing of every part. When you cross over into that world, you do not enter a random place by chance. You are drawn irresistibly, tenderly to the part of heaven that matches your own inward life. If your spirit is shaped by wisdom, you move toward the societies that form the mind of the grand man. If your soul is rich with compassion and love, you join the parts that form its heart. And so on, through every affection, every truth, every purpose that the human soul can hold. You belong, eternally, to the place where your deepest love fits perfectly into the living body of the heaven. It is not an assignment, it is not a judgment, it is the natural unfolding of who you are. Imagine standing before a map not of countries and oceans, but of living purposes and affections, each one shining with its own colour, its own tone. As you step forward, your heart beats louder, your spirit leans toward the place where the colour matches your own. You are drawn there, not by force, but by the gentle pull of perfect belonging. And when you find your place, it feels as though you have come home at last. You realize, with a deep sigh of relief, that all along, even when you walked this troubled earth, you were growing toward this home, toward this place in the grand man. You were shaping yourself for it, with every choice, every act of love, every reaching toward truth. You were preparing yourself to be not just a soul adrift, but an essential part of the living order of heaven. Swedenborg's vision gives an extraordinary depth to the meaning of human life. It means that your struggles, your small victories, your secret hopes are not passing away, unnoticed. They are building something. They are crafting you into a soul that has its own eternal role, its own eternal dwelling in the divine form. And more than this, they are contributing to the life of all heaven, because in this grand man, every soul feeds the whole, every affection strengthens it, every truth clarifies it. You are not a stranger to the eternal kingdom. You are part of its very life. When one soul chooses love, heaven's heart beats stronger. When one soul embraces truth, heaven's eyes see more clearly. When one soul rises from sorrow into hope, heaven's limbs move with greater strength. You matter. You always have. The choices you make in the quiet, unseen corners of your life ripple outward, touching the entire body of heaven. This is the secret that Swedenborg revealed, a secret so powerful that it could not easily be spoken in his time. It was forbidden, not because it was false, but because it dared to say, "You are divine in design. You are meant to fit perfectly into an eternal order, more intricate, more alive than anything this world can hold. In the grand man, there is no waste, no accident, no forgotten place. Every soul is needed. Every love matters. Every truth counts. And so, if you ever feel small, if the world ever weighs heavy on your heart, remember, you are shaping your eternal place with every step you take. You are being fitted gently, surely into the perfect life of heaven. Even now, unseen, you are finding your home. Each aspect of the grand man is alive with its own kind of work, its own kind of service. The societies forming the head are filled with wisdom, vast and brilliant understanding. The societies forming the heart live in the deep warmth of love and mercy. The arms and hands are the powers of action and service, moving the good into the world. The legs and feet carry out the journeys of life, standing firm in truth, walking steadily toward the compounded divine. And everywhere, in every part, is life, fullness, joy. When you think of heaven, do not imagine yourself fading into some endless sea. Imagine yourself finding, at last, your own voice within a greater song. Imagine feeling your life beat in rhythm with a million others, each one vital, each one beloved. Imagine knowing beyond all doubt that you are necessary, that your love makes heaven breathe, that your wisdom makes heaven see. This is the future that calls to you beyond death. Not a loss of self, but the deep fulfillment of self, the becoming of all you were ever meant to be. Swedenborg shows us that heaven is not about escape. It is about revelation. It is about becoming so fully yourself, so filled with love and truth, that you naturally find your place in the living body of the divine, no longer fighting against the currents of fear and selfishness. No longer divided inside yourself, but whole, integrated, alive in the fullest sense. This vision does not erase your individuality, it perfects it. You do not lose your face, your heart, your dreams. They are lifted, clarified, made eternal. You become more yourself, not less. And, as you take your place within the grand man, you discover that you were never truly alone. You were always a part of something greater, always a note in a symphony, always a breath in the breath. Great living body of love. Every step you take today is leading you closer to that moment. The moment when your soul finds its true home. The moment when you stand, at last, in your rightful place within the living heaven, and you realize you were always part of something beautiful beyond imagining. You were always meant for this. You were always destined to be a living part of the divine. But there comes a time when the soul drifts free from the weight of the body, a time when the familiar things of earth walls, streets, clocks, ticking endlessly on, fall away like mist, and in that first breath of new life, you find yourself among others, not strangers, not shadows, but souls whose hearts beat with a rhythm that feels astonishingly close to your own. Swedenborg, with eyes opened beyond this world, revealed something profound, that every society in heaven, every community of souls, is itself shaped like a single living human being, a form, a face, a life, unique and whole. You are not absorbed into some indistinct sea of spirits. You are gathered by the silent language of your heart into a society that fits you, as perfectly as breath fits a lung. Each society, Swedenborg tells us, is a reflection of the human form, complete, ordered, alive. It is not just that heaven in its entirety mirrors a divine man. It is that every cluster of souls, every loving community, no matter how small, is a human in miniature. And within that living form, you find your place. A place prepared not by force or judgment, but by the slow, gentle shaping of your spirit across every choice, every love, every sorrow you carried through life. You are drawn not merely to like-minded souls, but into the very structure of a greater being. The societies in heaven are living bodies, breathing, growing, conscious. Each one shines with its own light. Each one moves with its own purpose. Each one contains within itself the harmonies of heart, mind, and action that together create life. Imagine stepping into a city not built of stone and mortar, but woven from understanding, affection, courage, mercy. A city where every soul is a vital organ, a flowing vein, a steady hand. You are part of it, because your inner life matches the part you will fill, and you are welcomed instantly, as if you had always been there, because you have. In your truest self, you have been growing toward it since the day you first drew breath. Swedenborg spoke of these heavenly societies as living men, not metaphorically, but truly. Their forms are human. Their life is human. Their love is human, but on a scale more pure, more radiant than anything the earth has ever seen. The shape of a society comes from its ruling love, that one affection or truth around which all else turns. In some societies, the love of wisdom shines brightest, filling the form with piercing sight and clear thought. In others, the love of compassion burns warm, breathing life into the arms and heart of the collective being. Every variety of good, every shade of true affection finds its home, and you, when you pass beyond the veil, you are drawn to the society that mirrors the deepest pattern of your soul. You find your place, as naturally as a key finds its lock, as a river finds the sea. It is a homecoming older than memory. It is a return to the true shape of who you are. Each member of a heavenly society plays a role no one else can fill, not because they are assigned a task by command, but because their very being, their loves, their wisdom, their quiet hopes fits the needs of the living form. Some become the seeing eyes, perceiving truth with clarity. Others become the hands, bringing good into action. Some become the lungs, breathing new life and thought into the community. Others form the feet, carrying wisdom to those who have need. All are essential. All are cherished. You are never forgotten. You are never lost. Your role is prepared by the life you lived, by the love you nourished, by the truth you sought even in your loneliest, most doubtful hours, even when you stumbled, even when you feared you were failing. You were being shaped delicately, surely for a place only you can hold. When you finally stand among the society that mirrors you, you feel no striving, no fear, only a stillness, a peace deeper than words, as if every scattered piece of your being falls at last into place. And you know, you are seen, you are known, you are necessary. The societies themselves are not static. They live, they breathe, they grow, as new souls join, as loves deepen, as wisdom unfolds. The grand man of heaven is ever expanding, not with chaos, but with a rich harmony of ever deepening love and truth. And within that greater body, each society is its own living organ, its own complete being, not isolated, not separate, but interwoven with all others in a fabric of life too intricate for mortal minds to fully grasp. There is no rivalry, no envy, no fear of losing one's place, because every soul, every society strengthens the others. The good of one becomes the good of all. The wisdom of one flows into the wisdom of all. The joy of one spreads into the joy of all. When you laugh in heaven, your laughter nourishes not only those beside you, but the very heart of the grand man. When you learn something true, the light you gain becomes light for all. This is the life that awaits beyond death. A life not of isolation or forgetfulness, but of perfect belonging. A life where your individuality is not swallowed up, but fulfilled, where the best of what you are becomes a gift to countless others, and their gifts, in turn, flow into you. You live not only for yourself, but in and through the lives of the whole. The society you join in heaven, shaped like a living man, becomes a home for your spirit, as natural as the body was for your soul in the world. More natural, even. Because there, nothing decays, nothing grows old, love does not wither, wisdom does not fade. You are always growing, always unfolding, always stepping deeper into the truth of who you are. In this vision, life after death is not an end. It is not a fading into nothingness. It is the beginning of truest life, the beginning of being wholly alive. You were created to fit into a greater life, to belong to a society whose form, whose loves, whose wisdoms are reflections of your own deepest self. And that society belongs in turn to a greater whole, the grand man, the living heaven, united in love, alive in truth. When you lift your eyes beyond the walls of fear, beyond the memories of sorrow, you can feel it, even now, the slow, patient drawing of your soul toward home, toward the place you are building, even without knowing it, with every act of kindness, every reaching toward truth, every silent prayer whispered into the night. You are not drifting, you are growing, you are being prepared. And one day, when this world slips away, you will open your eyes to a place that knows you truly, deeply, and welcomes you as if you had always belonged, because you have, you always have. Yet, beyond the veil of mortal life, there unfolds a truth far more intimate, far more tender than the world has ever dared to imagine. For in the hidden reaches of heaven, each soul who has crossed into eternity, each spirit, each being of light, remains forever human, complete, alive, whole. Swedenborg, who stepped through the unseen worlds and returned bearing forbidden knowledge, spoke with quiet certainty. Every angel you might ever meet stands before you in the full, perfect form of a human being, not a mist, not a fragment, not a disembodied thought, but a being of soul and spirit, so fully alive, so completely human, that the bodies we wear now seem only a pale reflection of what we are meant to become. The angels, those dwellers of the higher realms, are human in their form because their spirits were always human in essence. In that world where appearances rise directly from inner realities, the spirit shapes itself into the very image of what it loves and believes, and because love itself, in its purest flowering, mirrors the divine human, every soul perfected by love takes on that radiant human form. When the body falls away like autumn leaves carried on the wind, the spirit does not scatter. It does not dissolve into some formless energy. It stands revealed, naked in its truth, clothed in the living glory of what it has chosen, what it has nurtured, what it has become. You are not destined to become a shadow. You are not meant to lose yourself in a vague and endless mist. You are meant to stand fully as yourself, as a human being of spirit, and yet more glorious, more real, more breathtakingly alive than you have ever been. Swedenborg saw angels with his own sight, faces bright with wisdom, bodies woven from the finest substance of the spirit, each gesture ringing with purpose and meaning. They spoke not with words alone, but with the music of their entire being. Every movement, every glance, every breath was a living testimony to the soul's innermost truth. The process, reason angels are human in form, is because the essence of all heavenly life is love. Love takes form. Love gives shape. Love, in its highest expression, weaves itself into a being that is ordered, whole, and brimming with meaning. The human form, with its countless interwoven parts, its intricate balances, its strength, and its grace, is the most perfect vessel for that love. Not by chance, not by accident, but by divine design. Each angel bears the living image of the rise of the Ra, divine not in appearance alone, but in their very being. Their faces shine with wisdom, because their hearts are anchored in truth. Their hands are strong, because their lives are dedicated to service. Their eyes are clear, because they see not with judgment, but with understanding. You too are being shaped even now with every decision, every yearning, every quiet, reaching of your heart into the form you will one day fully reveal. There is no soul so broken, no life so tangled that it cannot be remade in the image of love, no journey so long that it cannot find its home. The body you wear now is but the first sketch, rough, incomplete, a beginning. The spirit within, delicate yet enduring, holds the true shape of who you are meant to be. When Swedenborg describes the angels, he speaks not of some distant, unattainable ideal. He speaks of what you already carry within you, hidden beneath the burdens, the fears, the 1,000 small wounds of mortal life. There glows the ember of the true human being you were, always destined to become. In the societies of heaven, every angel finds their place naturally, not by striving, not by competition, but by the silent music of affinity. Each angel's form, their spirit made flesh, reflects their ruling love. Those who love wisdom shine with a certain clarity of movement, a certain steadiness of gaze. Those who love mercy move with a warmth that seems to breathe life into all around them. No two are exactly alike, and yet all belong to the same great harmony. You will not be measured by what you achieved in earthly terms, not by wealth gathered, not by power seized, but by the loves you cherished, the truths you clung to in the darkness, the quiet mercies you offered when no one was watching. These are the threads that will weave your eternal form. When at last the body falls away, you will find yourself standing in the midst of the heavens, not diminished, but fulfilled. You will recognize yourself. You will feel, perhaps for the first time, fully at home within your own being. And those who see you, those who welcome you into their societies, will see not only your face, but the loves that shaped you, the truths you embraced, the wisdom you have gathered like pearls from the broken shores of life. Each angel is a testimony that individuality is eternal, that the self, far from being swallowed up, blossoms into its truest and most radiant form beyond death. And this is no selfish isolation, for in heaven, individuality and unity dance together like flame and light. Each being is more themselves than ever before, and yet more deeply connected to all others in a web of endless giving, endless receiving. You will not lose yourself. You will find yourself. And in finding yourself, you will find others, not as strangers, but as brothers, sisters, companions of the Parifis. Soul, Swedenborg, makes it clear, the human form is sacred because it is the perfect image of Hawa, love made real. Not just love as a feeling, but love as an ordering force, a power that shapes, builds, nurtures. When you gaze into the face of an angel, you are looking into a heart that has been purified by countless choices for good. You are seeing the outward flowering of an inward life. And when you gaze into a mirror, even now, you are glimpsing, however dimly, the seed of that same beauty. The journey you are on is not meaningless. It is not wasted. Every act of kindness, every struggle toward truth, every faltering prayer is building the form you will one day inhabit in full. You are weaving your eternal shape with threads of light and longing, and though you may not see it now, though the world may batter and obscure it, nothing is lost. The angels you will join, the societies you will walk among, are waiting, not passively, but with joyful expectation. For every soul that steps into the fullness of their human form strengthens heaven itself. The grand man, that vast living body of heaven, grows richer, deeper, more complete with every new angel who takes their place. And one day it will be your turn to shed the heavy cloak of earth, to stand unveiled, to step into the radiant life you have been crafting all along. You will not float away like mist. You will not forget who you are. You will stand. You will walk. You will speak and sing and shine. You will be, at last, yourself, whole, human, home. But there is a mystery stitched into the very fabric of heaven, a secret so profound, so quietly, luminous, that few have dared to glimpse it fully. Heaven, in all its endless wonder, is shaped after a single form. Swedenborg, who walked through those sacred halls and touched the hidden heart of the afterlife, laid bare a forbidden truth. Heaven, as a whole, is a man, not a man of earth and dust, but a man woven from spirit, from love, from the purest order of the divine. This is not some quaint idea to comfort the fearful. It is the architecture of eternity itself. And it flows from one source alone, the Lord's divine human. Before the world was formed, before the seas carved out their basins and the stars stitched themselves into constellations, there existed the divine itself, infinite, unknowable, formless. But to reach the created world, to touch the hearts of finite beings like you and me, that divine clothed itself. It took on the form that would carry its love most perfectly, the human form, not because it needed to, but because love, true love, longs to be known, longs to be touched, longs to lift and heal and save. The divine human is not a distant myth or an abstract force. It is the beating heart behind every blade of grass, every soaring sun, every trembling human soul. And because the Lord's divine human stands at the center, heaven itself is molded in its image, not as an empty shell, but as a living, breathing reflection, of what love looks like when it organizes all things into harmony. When you step into heaven, when at last the veil is torn away and the old life slips from your shoulders, you will not enter chaos. You will enter a body alive with purpose, a body humming with meaning, a body where every place, every soul, every joy is woven perfectly into the whole. Swedenborg saw it. He described it with a clarity that few could bear to hear at the time. Each society of heaven forms a distinct organ, a vital part of the grand man. One society beats with the steady strength of a heart, another flows with the swift intelligence of the lungs, another burns with the fierce understanding of the eyes. Each soul fits into this vast organism according to their ruling love, the core passion that shapes their entire being. No one is misplaced. No one is forgotten. You are not a mistake. You are not a wandering accident. You are being prepared, even now, for your place within that radiant body. When your journey here is done, you will awaken to find that all the twists, all the heartbreaks, all the victories and falls have been shaping you like a master sculptor at work on marble, not to erase you, but to fit you perfectly into the living harmony of heaven. The grand man is not static. It grows, it breathes, it deepens with every soul that finds their place within it, and each part is necessary. Without the smallest capillary, the body fails. Without the tiniest nerve, the harmony trembles. Without you, heaven would be missing something irreplaceable, because you were made not to be absorbed, not to be forgotten, but to live forever as a vital part of the whole. The divine human is not just a memory or a foundation. It is the very life that pulses through heaven's veins. Each angel, each society, each joy and truth and wonder draws their life from that center. Like rivers from a hidden spring, like light from an unseen sun, you are already tethered to it, even now. The longings you feel, the flashes of understanding, the aching love for things unseen, these are the faint echoes of that greater life reaching out to you, calling you home. In the grand man, love is not a vague emotion. It is a law. It is the structure itself. It is the secret mathematics that joins every soul to every other, so perfectly that no two loves clash, no two desires compete. Instead, they weave together like threads in a tapestry so vast the eye cannot take it in. Every true joy you have ever known, the moment when beauty stilled your breath, when truth pierced your heart, when kindness left you trembling, all of these were glimpses of the grand man's heartbeat within you. The question then is not whether you will belong. You already do. The question is how deeply you will allow yourself to be shaped, how fully you will let yourself be softened, molded, prepared for that eternal place. There are no strangers in heaven, only parts of the body that have not yet found their home. And the Lord, through his divine human, draws each soul closer tenderly, patiently, with a patience beyond time, until each finds their perfect fit, until the body sings with one endless song of love made visible. Here is no higher destiny, no grander adventure, no more astonishing end to your journey. You are not walking toward annihilation. You are walking toward the full unveiling of your purpose, to be a living part of the divine itself, but in the humble, trembling joy of being exactly who you were always meant to be. Your joys will be needed, your wisdom will be needed, your unique shade of light will be needed, and when you take your place, When the last bond of earth falls away and the true music breaks, over you you will feel, with a certainty that no words can capture, that you are home. You will. Look around you and see that heaven is not a place apart from you. Heaven is you. Heaven is all of us, joined and alive and burning with the life of the divine. Human, the grand man breathes, and you breathe with it. It sees, and you see with it. It loves, and you love with it. The divisions that seem so sharp, so absolute here between you and the world, between you and others, will vanish like mist before the morning sun. You will remain yourself, utterly, wonderfully, and yet you will belong to something vaster, something that fills you until you overflow with a peace so deep, so fierce, that even death itself trembles before it. There are no wasted moments. There are no wasted souls. Everything matters, every heart, every breath. You are not forgotten. You are being gathered, called, formed, not for some cold perfection, but for a life more alive than anything you have ever dreamed. There will come a morning beyond mornings when you step into that body fully, when you lift your eyes and see the endless lands of heaven stretching before you, when you hear the chorus of lives intertwined, each note distinct and yet part of the whole, and you will know with a clarity beyond thought, you were made for this.